and welcome back to the 410. My name is AJ Host, and we're back here on a Sunday on the 410. I done pulled myself together, y'all. We're going to get this thing done here. We're going to talk about the Orioles in just a second. We're going to talk about the Ravens, who just finished up their second week of the OTAs. Of course, we got to talk about some highlights there. Then, of course, tonight, the NBA Finals on tap. Around 8 o'clock here, Eastern Time, OKC, they got to get the job done, or they're going to be down 2-0. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to get caught up here in the WNBA. Before we get into any of that, though, y'all, remember this good, y'all. Kia of Catonsville. Go in there and ask for the 410 package, and I promise you, y'all, you're going to get plenty of money off the car, and you're going to roll out of there in something real clean. Don't forget what I said, y'all. Ask for the 410 package right there on Security Boulevard, Kia of Catonsville, and you're going to get the job done and roll out of there in something nice. All right, y'all, we're going to talk about the Orioles here, where, of course, I'm a little disappointed because on Tuesday, I told you I wanted to be down at the stadium with a 9-game winning streak, y'all. And, of course, Mr. Marcelino, he had other plans. He stole my dream, y'all. We lost just the other night here, Friday night to Oakland, 5-4. But hold on, because it was a late game, and I know you probably didn't get a chance to catch it. My goodness, Dean Krimmer was on the mound. He was pitching just fine, y'all. 4 innings, y'all. He was going strong. Trying to tell you, Dean was looking good. Next thing I know, man, they got his number all of a sudden. There was a hit. There was a walk. There was another hit and a run batted in, And then all of a sudden, Dean was looking a little shaky, y'all. But what do you know? Mr. Marcelino, I don't know what in God's name was going on down there on the sideline, because if I was down there, me and you would have had so many words, they would have had to kick me out of the dugout. I'm trying to tell you right now. He left that man in the game, and my goodness, y'all, they scored. Every single batter that went up was hitting the ball, and if you don't believe me, go back and check the tape. Everyone that went up the plate was hitting the ball, and they was just batting around in a cycle like we didn't have not one other pitcher sitting over in the bullpen to get on the mound, y'all. He got out of that inning, just barely got out of that inning. They hit a ground ball, got a double play. Luckily, they had the bases loaded. They had already batted in, 5 runs. It was ridiculous, y'all. I was pulling the little bit of hair that I do have left all the way out of my head. What do you know? We come back in the next inning with Dean back in the game, y'all. He comes in, and what do you think happened? They started hitting again, and then all of a sudden, he comes out to the mound like he's saving the day and puts Mr. Gano in the game. I'm sitting there looking at the tape, trying to figure out what in the world am I missing? Did he not see what was going on in the last inning? Well, anyways, y'all, I'm talking about this because I want y'all to remember that game for the rest of the season, y'all. This game right here was the one we dropped, and if we need one, this was the one that we messed up. Jackson, he went out there in the 8th inning with the bases loaded. We were down by 1, y'all, and what do you think Jackson did here? He's been playing well, but Jackson, you know that I'm not telling any kind of lie here. There's no way you go up there and you strike out with the bases loaded with us down 1. You got to give us a chance, man. You got to give us a chance. So we lost this game, y'all. It was a miserable way to end the night because I had to stay up late because that game was well into the night. They had the early game yesterday where they jumped on the situation. They were losing just a little bit there in the beginning. And then all of a sudden, we had 2 big hits. We had a big hit out of Ramon Laureano. He sent one out of the park. And then, of course, we brung young Colt along so he can get into the party, y'all. And he dropped a 455-foot home run. He hit it right there into the river down there in Oakland. And my goodness, we had Mr. Felix Bautista, the Mountain. Don't forget that. He looked real good last night. He walked the first guy, but after that, he struck out all 3 batters, y'all. We got the job done. So we 7.5 games back in the wild card, y'all. I'm checking it out. I'm sitting here thinking we're supposed to be 6.5 games back on the wild card. But 7.5 games, I think we can still get in to the playoffs, y'all. But I'm telling you, we can't drop any more games like that. And we have this big series going up against the Tigers next week. You already know what we got to do on Tuesday. We got to get the job done against Oakland today. We play them at 4 o'clock, though, before we get to the Tigers on Tuesday. Mr. Tomoyuki, he's on the mound today. The rookie of the year, he's going to seal the deal for us out there and get that series. At least we'll get the series out there in Oakland. That'll be our 3rd straight series that we manhandle people in, because I'm telling you, we're supposed to win that game the other night. We should have swept this one, but I'm going to get off that. Today's game, Tomoyuki, he's going to do his thing. Of course, Jackson Holiday's been doing his thing. Of course, Gunner, if they don't rest him, I didn't even talk about that. They rested Gunner, then they tried to bring him in at the end of the game to pinch hit like we wasn't paying attention, like Gunner had been out there all game. I'm trying to tell you, I'm so mad about that, y'all. But of course, Gunner, he came back yesterday. He played like his head was on fire. You could tell he was upset about losing that game and not playing the day before. Of course, we've been getting it busy with Ryan O'Hearn. He's still driving in runs. He's been cooled off just a bit, but he's still very reliable out there. Of course, the young Colt, he has 2 home runs since he's been on deck here in the majors. So I hope he can keep that going since he come back from AAA. And then, of course, we got a couple other players that have been doing their thing, chipping in. I'm really concerned about Adley Rushman. Of course, he had a good series against Seattle, and I'm happy about that. But of course, he's from Seattle, so that's exactly what he was supposed to do, show off in front of his family. Well, Adley, I need you to play like you're in Seattle all the time right now, man. We need you. It's not a game. We need your bat. We need your defense. The Maverick, he's going in there. He's filling in admirably on defense. He's getting the job done, doing what he's supposed to do. But of course, he's not Adley Rushman, the #1 pick, supposed to be sending the ball out in the stands every single game. All right, y'all. Enough about the Orioles. Of course, we're going to watch that game today, get the dub, and then we're going to be down there at the stadium on Tuesday checking them out against the Tigers. All right, the Ravens, of course, they just finished their second week of OTAs. I'm hearing nothing but great things down there about what's going on down there, except there's only one thing that I'm hearing that a whole bunch of people are not really happy about, and that is this gentleman, Cooper Rush, that we picked up from Dallas. And I'm telling y'all, we passed up on Shador, and I know there was going to be a lot of fanfare behind Shador, but we had the opportunity to bring Shador in to be the backup. We went and paid $5 million for Cooper Rush, and the next thing you know, we're sitting in practice, and Mark Andrews getting ready to jump on Cooper Rush because he's telling him that that's not how we get down here in Baltimore. You better throw the pass here, or we're going to have a problem. And y'all think I'm joking, you better check the tape there. Mark Andrews not playing around with Cooper Rush in practice. They're saying Cooper Rush is missing all kinds of throws. He's not looking good. I think we need to cut Cooper Rush, and we need to bring back one of them backups that we already had, Josh Johnson, Snoop. Where you at, Snoop? Bring them back and just let's roll with them, because Cooper Rush, you get in the game, you start messing us up down here in Baltimore, you already hear how Mark Andrews roll. He might jump on you down there, and a whole lot of other people might jump on you. In other news, Rashad Bateman, he just signed a big extension here. Of course, we're going to keep Rashad around. He's been performing like we need to keep him around. So that gives us that 3-headed monster there with Zay, Rashad, D-Hop for the year. I'm telling y'all, he's already signed his seal, so he's going to have another big season because he's been in practice looking like exactly what he's supposed to be looking like. All-pro there. You got Zay Flowers, the all-pro. I'm telling y'all, they say our offense is going to be humming all year. I can't wait to see it. Of course, we're talking about Lamar and extended him, but that's a whole lot of numbers that they got to throw on the table and jumble through there before they can get that done. So at least they're talking about it. We already know Lamar's not going anywhere. He'll be a Raven for life. They just got to sit down there and play with some of those numbers so they can make sure we don't lose some of this top talent that we have here on the roster, because we have a loaded roster and we want to keep it just like that. Loaded, going to the championship every year for the next few years without a doubt. All right, y'all. Of course, the big game tonight, OKC going up against Indiana. Indiana stole game 1. Halliburton with a big shot at the end of the game sealed the deal for that one. But OKC, I think if they go back to their original schedule program, I don't know what in the world is going on with the coach switching the lineup up and all this kind of stuff there before the NBA Finals. Please explain that to me. If they get back to the basics here, I think tonight they let one slide the other day. It was a big stage for them. They haven't been on that stage before. They're definitely a young team. So, of course, their nerves and stuff might have played a factor in that whole situation. But nevertheless, we're going to get another chance to watch them tonight. And I think we're going to have a big game out of SGA. I most definitely think that Chet had more than 6 points tonight. And then, of course, Jay Will, he's going to do his thing. I think OKC, their bench players will come in, play well. So I think OKC will have a much better showing here tonight. The pressure won't be the same pressure that they had the other night because it was their first game. And, of course, Indiana has that pedigree to come right on back in the game and do their thing. So, of course, OKC at home tonight, I'm taking them to win the game. I'm taking them by the spread here. It's a big spread, but I think they're going to jump on Indiana tonight because Indiana probably already is satisfied that they got home court advantage at this point, and they're ready to get back to Indiana and see if they can get them some more wins down there. All right, the WNBA, of course, I've been paying attention to the WNBA with y'all, doing my best to try to keep up with that, with all of the other action that's been going on. We talked about Brianna Jones going up against the Sun the other night here on Friday night. I thought they were going to get the job done. They lost this game 84-76. Last game of the night was the Dallas Wings going up against the LA Sparks. Of course, the Dallas Wings, one of the worst teams in the WNBA. They dropped this game here 93-79. No surprises here. Last night, I actually got a chance to check some of these games out last night. The Aces went up against the Valkyries. The Valkyries actually got a win against the Aces. I was very surprised about this result here. They won this game 95-68. I think the Aces might have rested some players. Had to check into that here in just a minute. Next game up was the Fever going up against the Sky. I actually watched this game. I wanted to see if Angel Reese was going to perform here. And my goodness, the Fever, even without Caitlin Clark, they jumped on the Sky and they look really, really bad. Angel Reese, I don't know what's going on with her, but she didn't look like the same Angel Reese that I remember playing in these games here. They lost this game 79-52, and pretty much throughout the game, they were down by about 20, 25 points. It was a terrible showing for the Chicago Sky. Last game of the night was Seattle Storm going up against the Mercury here. The Mercury, they couldn't pull this one out. They lost this game 89-77 against the Storm. Of course, today, we got 2 games on tap. 1 game already going here. The Mystics playing against the Sun here. The Mystics up 19-7. While I'm taping this thing here, the score will probably be different by the time you see it. But hopefully they can hold on to this game. And then, of course, the last game of the night, we had the Lynx going up against the Dallas Wings. I already told you, if it's the Minnesota Lynx, we got to play them all the way out until they lose a game here. They're definitely going to win this game against the Wings. No problem. Because, of course, the Orioles, they're going to be on a win streak here. And I'm going to continue to talk about us getting into the playoffs. I need you to stay tuned. Please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this. If you haven't already, please like, share some of this with somebody. We're going to keep this thing going here on the 410. I appreciate all your time here on a Sunday. Go O's. I'm going to see you down at the stadium on Tuesday for sure. Once again, all my service members and Marines, if you need some help, make sure you reach out to somebody. If you can't reach out to them, make sure you shoot me a message, and I'll get back to you personally right here on the 410. Once again, checking in with your family and friends. Make sure they're doing okay. This is Adrian here on the 410.